This is the Romer After Show, where I talk about the current Let's Play in more depth than I usually would in an episode of a Let's Play, and then also answer your questions from Patreon. And today we are talking about... Hold on a second, I gotta close the window. Okay. Sorry about that. Kokichi was like outside the window. He won't leave me alone at all anymore. It's actually kind of terrifying. Says he wants to be best friends, and I have no problem being best friends, but like, you know, I never even told him where I lived. No, wait, Kokichi, who do you got there? Oh, he's kidnapped old Mrs. Peterson. You can have her. You can have her. Yes, you can have her. She's very loud. You can have her. Yes, you take her. Don't you dare take that cat. Chapter 4 is my favorite chapter in any Danganronpa game, and this is among some crazy competition. It's filled to the brim with like so many interesting moments that will stay with me for a long time and overall just kind of blew my mind at a lot of stages. I've just never felt this way playing a Danganronpa game before, at least to this extent. By the end of this chapter, I felt lost. I felt like I should be crying, but nothing came out because I just felt completely empty. I felt lost. That lost feeling shouldn't take away from the sudden jolt in my brain that I have all day from playing that game. That jolt keeps telling me that the chapter you just played is pretty dark, but also so creative, so beautiful, and so stylish. So before we get into how lost I feel about finishing this chapter, I want to talk about, hopefully, all the things that made me feel good in this chapter as well. Because a spoonful of beautiful art style makes the death go down easier. Am I right? I maxed out Kokichi in this chapter, and this was the plan for a while, and we finally got to do it. In the process of doing this, we learned something crazy about him. Well, actually not really. We just learned that he actually does in fact like us. I guess by us I mean me. By me I mean Shuichi. Even if he doesn't want to say it, he likes playing with us for sure. He has a fun personality, at least in private, and I know saying all this in chapter 4 of E3 is going to have people rolling their eyes. Well, all I gotta say is nobody's perfect. Some of us are evil and stuff. Some of us set up giant traps in order to fool every one of our friends. Hashtag relatable. One of my favorite interactions in this game so far has been, of course, the Liars Club, and the Liars Club in this chapter was no different. Although there was workout sessions, there was also personal conversations between Maki, Kaito, and Shuichi that really had me thinking a lot about this trio, how much they've gotten out of Maki throughout this entire game and continue to get out of Maki. It's really quite amazing that still they're growing each of them at this amazing pace. That is really pleasant to see because I love this trio. And seeing them talk about Maki's past and seeing them actually openly talk about each other like that really means that they've gotten close. I'm enjoying this progression so much. This whole chapter centers around something called the virtual world, a virtual reality game that is within a game that allows users to go into an RPG Maker style world that is so cool to look at. Danganronpa can get accused of a lot, but one of the things it can't be accused of is not being creative. It's one of the most creative franchises you can get into. We had something similar in previous games when they referenced the PS1 games from the past with Twilight Syndrome, which I loved. It really made me smile so much, and this time it's a world where your own player character can actually explore. It feels very different. It's glorious. I really adored exploring this virtual world. It was fun splitting up and seeing how talented the devs are in this game, creating such a fantastic game within a game. It was also fun seeing all the avatars of the cast and how they reacted to their own avatars, and for a time I was joyed to have a break in the gameplay style, which is always needed even in the best of games. In fact, that's what makes a game usually very good, is how you break up the gameplay style to make sure it's not boring. The kitchen, the church, the river, the phone, everything was bringing me such joy. That joy was short-lived, just like most things in Danganronpa. Joy is like candy that will eventually turn to sugar on your teeth if you don't swallow it fast enough. Kids, even if you eat sugar fast enough, it's gonna still, damage your teeth, let's be honest here, but it's so good! Miu set up all this, so she's kind of excited for us to try it. By that I mean the virtual world. There was a bit of resistance from a lot of us, but after Monokuma says there's a motive inside the virtual world about the outside world, I think it motivates people a lot more to go for this. I think the motives in this game are so salient to each character, as they seem to play on the fact that these cast members just want to get out of here, but also the fact that they're all good people for the most part. They want to help each other. They want to help each other as friends. Not everyone is the same as that, but pretty much all of them are, apart from maybe one of those guys. Kokichi is also plotting with Monokuma, and it has something to do with the key card that is given by Monokuma. Kokichi and Monokuma plotting together as like a coughing baby and a hydrogen bomb getting ice cream together. Nothing good can really come of it. I enjoy their dynamic in the same way I enjoy playing survival horror games. It scares me to watch, but there's something so compelling about it that I have to keep going. Funny enough, I literally am playing a survival horror game right now, and it actually does feel that way. It feels exactly like that. Everyone splits up and explores different areas Scooby-Doo style, and there goes silly Kaito once again, doing something so silly, leaving Maki behind in the church with Mew and the others to explore, obviously pissing her off, and Shuichi also gets caught in the crossfire of this pissing off session. Maki being pissed off just shows how much we mean to her now though, and Shuichi and Maki really have grown so close in this game, along with Kaito as well. In the first chapter, she wanted to bite her head off, and now we have a fantastic assassin, a great detective, and a pretty good astronaut in a trio together. It's the classic love story, right? The classic love triangle. While separated, Smoothie and Shuichi explore the left side of the virtual world in the mansion. It's here that they hear a noise. Not only that, but Smoothie thinks she sees Mew. But Mew actually stayed in the old church to explore, like I said before. At this point, I am panicking. My heart sank at this moment. I was out of it. I've never been so scared in the Danganronpa game because it didn't make any sense. My first thought was, someone must have duplicated Mew. And I really wish that was the case. I wish it was. Like, Jesus Christ, I wish it was a duplication. Someone please duplicate her. Someone patch the game and duplicate my gal. Duplicate her, please. But instead, her body is found in the snow. Her virtual body. With a hammer, lattice, and a phone beside her. A panic ensues with everyone now. It's pure panic. Everyone's running around trying to figure out what to do. The decision is made for everyone to return to the real world via phone. I have to stop here though, because when we return, we see Mew's dead body in her chair, grasping at her choker around her neck, her eyes strained. And you know what? I don't even think I can recount this at all. Her body is just... Yeah, let's not. It was horrible. The worst thing I've seen in a while. This gave my bald head a feeling of hot air flowing over it. It felt like it was swirling around my entire body. I felt really horrid. It didn't feel very good at all. It's just like Danganronpa to do something like this. And it's not like I wasn't expecting it. It's just hard because even though you're waiting for the shoe to drop the entire chapter, waiting for that moment is horrible. There it is. Such a fantastic time exploring. I cannot stress it enough. I had such a fantastic time. I was smiling the whole time, and then the glass shattered. The shoe dropped, and I'm once again feeling like absolute crap. This whole investigation, along with the trial itself, is S tier. From finding a poison bottle on the armchair, going back into the virtual world to find clues, which there are many, and for some reason Kaito going off and taking a nap while we're all in the virtual world. And you see, he was sent out of the world by this little Motorola phone, which means he was sent out early and wasn't in with the rest of us. And honestly, like, it is kind of a weird thing. It makes him a prime suspect almost right away because he went off and had a snooze, and like, it seems like a weird time to have a snooze. Because I remember the time I was in a very serious situation and had to sleep. I was getting attacked by 10 fine gentlemen, and I decided to take a nap. The lovely gentlemen were very nice and stopped kicking me for a few hours. They only used their little fingers to pinch me. That's how I made my 10 best friends. In every bit of sincerity, I understand that Kaito is sick right now, and that's a very big common thing about this game. They build everything so well, and it feels so detailed and important, no matter how small the situation is. Kaito being sick is built up well, Kokichi's evil looming over us through the entire game, further and further it's striving towards everyone. The friendship between Maki, Kaito, and Shuichi, Mew as an inventor coming back in this chapter, Mew and Kibu doing weird stuff together, and it turns out to be something that's really integral to the actual trial itself. Trust issues between everyone, the bonds between everyone, Shuichi being dependent on too much, it's all just so detailed and all work together so well. Stuff that you think is not going to come back will come back, and stuff that you think didn't mean anything will probably mean something. The trial itself is the most dense so far, probably the most eventful too. There are quite a few twists in this, and they had me on the floor looking for a way out. In the early stages of the trial, I first thought, oh, Kokichi did this, and he's just playing us all. He's willing to die just to prove a point, and of course he is. And he's been leading the whole investigation, and now is leading us all through this trial by a proverbial leash. But is that really the case? I think that would have been easy, if that was the case. Shuichi is really good at leading this trial now too, in a very smart manner. While Kokichi is a lot more chaotic at leading it, it creates this environment with Shuichi and Kokichi together that feels like a sober guy and a drunk guy trying to sing a song together. We're gonna get there in the end. We're gonna get the song, but there's a good chance the drunk guy's offended someone with the offbeat lyrics. But the song sounds pretty much the same at the end. It would have been easier pill to swallow if Kokichi was the killer. The one who killed Miyu, like the devil I know, was easier to ignore, but the glass shatters once again, and this time shards get everywhere. It's Gonta. Gonta is the killer, and it sucks. Even saying this now, I'm feeling terrible. I'm feeling sick about it. Gonta, our gentleman, is the killer. There is this moment in the trial where everything just starts to make sense, and it happens so quickly, and it's awful. Right at this very moment, I start to realize that it must be Gonta. And it feels terrible. Gonta, ever since he left the virtual world, had been saying he doesn't even know what the virtual world is. At first I thought he's just being silly, because he's been there the whole time, but nothing in these investigations is ever not important. But actually this poor soul has lost his memory of his time in the virtual world due to a malfunction of his headset, and this also made him easier to control in the virtual world. And there Kokichi took advantage of him and set him upon Miyu. Gonta killed her by strangulation with toilet paper, because he set up the right and left chords wrong because he's left-handed, and was following Himiko's chopstick lore about the right hand and the left hand. It's terrible. This sucks so hard. It's really difficult because I love Kokichi, he's my guy. But this is legit one of the worst things I've ever seen from a Danganronpa character, and that feeling of observing this was upsetting. Gonta saying he didn't do it, and in a way, he's not even lying because he doesn't even remember doing it, and there's no way for me to mince words with this, guys. Kokichi took advantage of Gonta once again, and this time it was fatal. He's been doing this the whole time, this whole game, and I joked about it. And now I'm down because it feels like it was never a joke. My little baby is dangerous. Very dangerous. Gonta and Kokichi both saw what the outside world was, and Gonta wanted to save the rest of the crew from ever seeing what that was. Gonta and his own insecurities, wanting to feel useful, wanting to save everyone, led to the death of Miyu. Him being so impressionable led to his own death as well. It's very sad, and I think it's hitting me even more now, talking about this with you guys. It's depressing. A horrible way to go. But at least the Monokubs are gone, that's good. See you later, boys. Not gonna miss ya. Kokichi now unveils his true form. He truly is evil. Now, I do think that there is something to him. I do think that there's a lot in him that we've seen as well through his conversations and through little tiny things. I think that he has a lot of conflicting emotions in him himself. And I think we are gonna get to the bottom of those. But right now, we're seeing him as what he wants us to see, and that is an evil genius, an evil leader. He even punches Kaito in the face, and Kaito goes down so easily because Kaito is very sick at this stage. It's a shocking moment because it really feels like it's finally Kokichi versus the rest of the crew. But at the same time, it also feels like it's expected. It's a very conflicting feeling. This is expected in the same way a terrible friend betrays you. I knew this day was coming, but it doesn't hurt any less. Kaito was feeling a little betrayed too, as we didn't agree with him in the trial even though he was actually dead wrong, like he was wrong this time. But it's such a human feeling to feel betrayed. I supported you, can you support me? And even if it's irrational, it probably still hurts. He feels as though this relationship is about belief and belief in each other. And he's kind of right. We've lied together. We've believed in each other. We've lied to believe in each other. That's why I called him the Liars Club. Shuichi has a lot of pressure on him. And Maki and Kaito both have acknowledged that, and also said that Shuichi is more than just a detective, which was beautiful. But Kaito also turned around and I feel like put a little pressure on Shuichi in this trial as well with that, saying that he has to kind of like be on his side or if he's betraying him. I really do love the Liars Club, and I hope that pressure that's growing on Shuichi is just going to lead to something good in the end. His character growth has been nothing short of amazing. Just in this end of the trial, we saw him say, "Shut up" to Kokichi. Not in those words, but just be quiet. And it got my heart to really do that flutter thing. It's so good. The worry now is Kaito is seriously sick as well, and I care about him quite a bit, and I'm really worried about how he's going to see us in the future now as well. It feels like one of those things where we have an ally in Kaito, but it's going to take a while to really mend those fences, and also I just hope that he's okay. There's no way that that's just a cut in the throat. It really is scary how this game sets up the next chapter at the end of every chapter, and it's always intentional. They always do something to make you feel scared, worried, or even horrified sometimes, and now we have to worry about poor Kaito, and also have to worry about Kokichi. The next chapter coming up has me worried. Booting up the game tomorrow is going to make me feel like I'm walking to a place where I'm no longer welcome. Kokichi is planning something bigger. Kaito is sick. Gonta and Miu are gone, and whether people like them or not, we lost a great mind and the strongest of us physically. Kokichi has a smaller playground, but with Kaito also sick, he has an easier way to play all the games he wants. We lost Miu, who I cared about a lot. She was an incredible mind, a great spirit, a rose with thorns. That's really how I saw her. But we also lost Gonta, who didn't deserve this either. This whole death was so tragic. Gonta was without any doubt, in my mind, a good friend, a smart man, a strong man, a friend who helped us a lot, a friend who would dive to the bottom of the ocean to drown with you if you were doomed to drown. But more than anything else, he was a gentleman. You guys like me ranking characters, so let's rank some characters here. In this order, going in reverse order, who I like the most, or who I like the least to most. In the last place is Smoothie. Smoothie is stepping up a little bit, but I really need to know more about her. Then it's Kibo, then Himiko, then Kaito, then Maki is number 1. Why am I not ranking Kokichi this time? Kokichi is one of my favorite characters of all time in this in the Danganronpa series, I should say. But I have conflicting feelings this time around, and we're going to have to see how I feel next chapter, if that makes sense. He's my baby, but I'm giving him a timeout for this chapter at the very least, if that makes sense. We got a lot of great questions for the after show today, so let's try and answer them in the best way possible. Nightmare444, have you played any of the Mega Man X games? I have not. I've played Mega Man 1, I think, and I remember it being really fun. I played on the Wii U Virtual Console, and I actually thought it was pretty good. I think that it's probably not a good indication of what Mega Man has become or what it was in its best form. A lot of people say Mega Man 2 is one of the greatest games of all time. I just haven't gotten around to playing those games. Maybe we'll play the Mega Man games at some point. I actually think it might be fun to play at some point, even if it's for a one-off video, because I think the games can be also very short, and I think that it would actually make sense for that runtime that I have now on the extra videos. Yeah, I've never played them. Umiko? I don't know if I ever pronounced your name right, Umiko, and I'm sorry if I do. Given that V3 is established, it will continue until only 2 survivors are left. Who do you think those 2 will be? I think Maki, Shuichi. I think that Kaito is a fantastic character, but something about his story, I think that it can go 2 ways. It can be that he is the survivor and Maki's gone, and that's heartbreaking. Or it can be Kaito goes and Maki's still there, and that's still heartbreaking. I think that they're really good at writing these stories and making you feel really sad, so I think it could go either way with those 2 characters. I really think it's going to be probably Kaito and Shuichi as the last 2. And who knows, it could be more than 2, but that's my estimation right now, and that's what I think would be the most... I trust this game, but that's who I think is going to be the last 2 at this stage. Eskun, did you grow up watching any cartoons? Which ones, if you did? Oh my god, so many cartoons, Eskun. Oh my god, so many. I've watched... When I was a kid, I used to obsess over Billy and Mandy, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Kids Next Door, Dexter's Laboratory, but really my favorite cartoons to watch all the time as a kid, Billy and Mandy, Kids Next Door were like my 2 favorite. I would watch those in a heartbeat today if I could. They were like my favorites. I used to watch the Cramp Twins a lot as well. That was really funny to me. I know people didn't really like that show, but I liked them. Courage the Cowardly Dog. In terms of Nickelodeon shows, I didn't watch many Nickelodeon shows at all, but SpongeBob I used to watch a bit as a kid too. I still watch it now as an adult. It's a very funny show. If Yu-Gi-Oh counts, even though it's an anime, as a kid I didn't know it was an anime. I just thought it was the greatest cartoon show ever freaking made, and I watched it every single day. That's probably my favorite drawn show of all time. My favorite animated show ever is Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm trying to think what other cartoons I would have watched as a kid. Ed and Eddie I watched all the time. Cow and Chicken I watched all the time. These are really fun shows. You know what I never got into as a kid though? I never got into superhero cartoons. People were watching all those superhero cartoons and I just never got into them. I remember it was just not my thing. Big Guy and Rusty, Totally Spies, Kim Possible was one of my favorite shows of all time. Oh my god, Kim Possible was so good. Recess was so good too. Again, these are all shows that would happen Saturday morning in Ireland on the Den, and you'd have to watch it. It was a 2-hour stretch of showing last year's reruns of Disney Channel shows. You watch Totally Spies, Recess, Kim Possible, all these shows, and it'd be really fun watching these reruns of these shows. I freaking loved it. I watched Phineas and Ferb as a teenager as well. That counts. Dewpiker, have you ever considered making your own video game? No, I have not, but I have an idea for a video game, and anyone wants to steal it, you can steal it. The idea is, it's a multiplayer online game called Defend the Keep, and you're all in a castle, kind of like Helm's Deep, and each person has their own squadron. So you play with 4 other people, and you have, say, you're the king, and you have to stand on top of them and give people orders. Then you have, like, someone has the archers, someone has the people bracing the gate, some people have the people defending, the women and children in the back or whatever in this medieval times or whatever. It doesn't have to be women and children. I'm just trying to go by Lord of the Rings logic. It could be, obviously you're going to be able to play as women characters. That'd be very silly if you couldn't. But you know what I mean? Someone's protecting the children in the background. And then you have to, and the people on the outside are the other team, and they have their own squadrons too, and you have to be like, okay, you guys go and break down the gate, you guys go down and break down the wall, and basically the way you win is by conquering the castle. But the only thing is that the reason why it probably wouldn't work is because the only way this would work is that if you you had to play this with 4 people on your side, 4 people on the other side, and it had to last 8 hours. The reason I don't think this will work is because you'd have to play with friends. You'd have to play with friends, and you'd have to find 8 friends, which it's difficult to do even if you have 30 friends, to find 8 friends that want to play a game at any one time. So I'd always think that you're playing against 4 strangers, and the castle's about to be breached, and they just quit out of the game. That would suck, you know what I mean? It would suck, and you can't trust people you just don't know. But yeah, that's the idea of how I had, but I would never actually, I don't think I'd be good at making games. I like playing them. And I think that video games are miracles, really. I'm like, how do you even do this? Seabell. Which famous / semi-famous YouTuber, internet person do you look up to, and why? Who do I look up to? Kyle Bosman is someone who is my inspiration for content creation in general. I think that he's the most fantastic content creator, and I say content creator because that's what they're called nowadays. He's a streamer / video creator. Really this show that I'm doing now, pretty much I got the the inspiration to do something, I guess, from Delayed Input. Delayed Input is what I think is one of my favorite shows of the week. It's much shorter than mine because it's more condensed and it's not about chapters of games, but I really feel that would be the that's the ideal guy I look up to. Also, he just has great morals. He's great. He's really funny. He has the perfect interaction with his community. And he's taught me really how to be better at interacting with my community, and I really feel like I am getting better at that because of him. I started doing YouTube because of Markiplier and Epic Name Bro. They were the two. Openly saying it, I have no problem saying this. He doesn't do it anymore, which is why I do it. The original Epic Name Bro intro was, "What's going on, guys? It's Marcus, also known as Ian B." And I was like, okay, when he stopped doing that, I was like, okay, maybe I'm gonna do this. Hey, you guys, it's Calvin, also known as Rover. Hello, baby gangsters, making it my own, I guess, and I have no problem saying that because he is one of my biggest inspirations ever. But yeah, they were the guys I would watch all the time. Really, Kyle Bosman changed my morals, though. He changed who I am as a person, and he really is the pinnacle of video game content creating, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's definitely him. Malcolm Cond. What game does the internet love but isn't your thing? Does, I guess, the God of War 2018 games, Horizon, all the the Sony over-the-shoulder camera exclusives I've never been really into. It's more just because my favorite genre of game is survival horror / RPGs. They're my favorite genre of game. And now I think visual novels I've been into too. I'm trying to think of other games. I guess Final Fantasy 16 doesn't really count because there's a lot of people that don't like that game, so I don't want to say it's that game. What game does the internet love but I'm not a big fan of? I guess one of the things that is always really in my head. I never quote tweet anyone on this because it's not none of my, I would never shite on someone for this. But I think when someone posts a video of gameplay of say I don't know, Ghost of Tsushima, and they go, "This is really the greatest game ever made. This is really it." And then in my head I'm no, it's not. But it's I don't tweet that at them, It's not, I feel that's really weird to tweet that at them. But yeah, I guess those games are probably it. Really a lot of the games I love, the franchise I love, Resident Evil is they're my favorite franchises. Resident Evil, Tekken, Persona, the Nier games. Really they're very popular now. The Yakuza games, Final Fantasy games. People can call me basic, but I do a lot of intricate different games, the Trail series that a lot of people might not play, but even those are becoming more and more popular. Really, I like a lot of popular things. I really do. But Coblin, do you still play Smash Bros. Ultimate since it launched? And if so, who's your main? I have not played Smash Bros. Ultimate since the day it came out. I played it. I bought the Joker DLC. I played as Joker, and then I was like, okay, I'm good. Um, maybe it was the day it came out. Maybe it was like a few days after it came out, but I went back and I kind of like, I had a physical copy, so like I traded it into like GameStop or something and got some credit. Not my thing. At the time, I mained Lucia from Fire Emblem. Yeah, that was my main at the time. So maybe, I don't know. That's who I mained. That's who I mained, okay? No. I don't know. Really, I like fighting games. I like, you know, Tekken's one of my favorite games of all time. Tekken 4 is like in my top 10 favorite games of all time. But I don't like vibe with Smash Bros. Just because it's very chaotic, and I think you have to be super good at those games. If you're not good at them, like, and you're playing against someone who is good, it's never really that much of a fantastic time to me. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it. I know, again, like, you know, a lot of people are Smash Bros. Fans in my community, and I don't want to like make it seem like, you know, you're wrong in any way for liking it. It's just I've never been into it. Thank you so much for watching this episode. This is probably going to get longer as time goes on because we are getting more questions, and I'm totally fine with that because that's the intention. It's a community-based video that's supposed to talk to you guys about how I feel about the game and also hear your questions as well, and I'm very glad to do that. So in the Can Never Repay the Baby Gangsta tier, this is the €15 tier, and that is the producer tier. You get called out as if you're getting thanked on like SNL, which I kind of like doing it like this. TieFire02, Jamie Bull, Jana the Banana, Smidge, Rachel S, Normal Cara, Felicitas Felix, George Candelaria, Eskun, Yuld, and Radish. Thank you guys so much for always supporting me, and you guys have no idea what this is going to do, because like I will say we are very close to doing this full time, and the content that we've been making, the videos we've been making, will continue, and that's what makes me really excited about this. Little things that like really help me out with this, like stuff on the Patreon, stuff like that, like say like for content creation, like my laptop is on its last legs, and it's like, oh my god, I'm gonna be able to get a new laptop. You know what I mean? For God, you know, I'm actually gonna be able to not worry about this stuff. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next week for the Romer After Show again. If Kokichi shows up to your window, by the way, just like let him take old woman Peterson. Let him take any old woman on the street. He will just like, you know, it's fine.